Have you ever wished you could be unshakable? Someone who isn't fazed by criticism, rejection, loss, or betrayal? Have you ever dreamed of the day when the silent pain inside you, the anguish you hide behind a smile, would finally come to an end? Maybe you're tired of constantly trying to please everyone, of maintaining an image of strength when all you really want is a moment of rest from the pressure of being untouchable. Let me tell you something that few have the courage to say. As long as you try to avoid pain, it will continue to control you. As long as you numb yourself in an effort to protect and hide, you'll remain a prisoner of everything happening around you. The hurtful words, the disappointments, the silences that wound you from the inside. And know this. This isn't weakness. It's the human experience. The difference is, some people are just better at pretending. Carl Jung, one of the pioneers of depth psychology, once said that, "We are not defined by what happens to us, but by what we choose to become." And that's where the real shift happens. It's not about hardening yourself against the world or becoming cold and indifferent. It's about integration, bringing into the light everything that currently haunts you in the dark. True strength isn't about the absence of pain. It's about fully knowing who you are, even when you're bleeding. If you're still here reading this, it's not by accident. This video is for you, the one who is tired of getting hurt by everything and everyone. It's for you who feels emotionally vulnerable, as if others hold a kind of power over you that you can't quite understand. I want to show you that it doesn't have to be this way. But to change, you'll need to face some truths that might hurt at first. And maybe, for the first time, that pain will be what sets you free. Let's begin. The illusion of control. Why you still feel hurt. You might believe that what hurts you comes from the outside, from the actions of others, from harsh words, from the abandonments and betrayals you didn't see coming. But the truth is harsher than it seems. None of these things truly have the power to hurt you unless they touch a wound that's already inside you. What truly hurts isn't what others do to you. It's what those experiences trigger within you. It's the story you tell yourself afterward. It's the old trauma you never fully confronted. It's the emptiness you cover up with strength, with pride, with the desperate need to appear perfectly fine. Carl Jung teaches us that the pain we experience from the outside world is only a reflection of what we haven't yet integrated within ourselves. That's why some people can endure devastating events and remain composed, while others fall apart at a simple comment. It's not about what happens. It's about where it hits you. And here's an uncomfortable truth. You still suffer so much because deep down, you believe you can control how the world treats you. You're still trying to be good enough, smart enough, strong enough, understanding enough, as if that could guarantee you won't be hurt. But control is an illusion. And the more you cling to it, the more you live in constant tension, trying to predict the unpredictable, trying to avoid the inevitable. Do you want to stop suffering? Then stop trying to shield yourself from pain. What you need isn't more control, but more awareness. As long as you believe people must change for you to stop hurting, you'll remain a prisoner of their actions. Your freedom begins the moment you realize that nothing from the outside can harm you, unless it finds an echo within you. That's where the real battlefield lies. In the unconscious. The part of you that you don't see, don't understand, and don't master. And what you don't master will continue to master you. This is exactly what we'll explore next. Get ready to dive deeper. Because true transformation begins there. The unconscious as a battlefield. One of the biggest lies you've been told is that you're in control of your life. It's time to wake up, because you're not. At least, not as long as you're living on autopilot, reacting without knowing why, feeling emotions without understanding their source, and making decisions you later sabotage. Carl Jung put it simply, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And that's exactly what's happening to you right now. The pain you feel, the anger that flares up without warning, the sadness that creeps in for no apparent reason, none of it is random. These are messages from parts of you that have been ignored, repressed, or forgotten. Jung described this hidden territory as the unconscious, not just a vague cloud of thoughts, but a powerful active system made up of memories, traumas, desires, and fears. It's a force that keeps influencing what you feel and how you act, whether you acknowledge it or not. You wonder why certain words cut deep while others roll off someone else's back. It's because those words strike sensitive points within you, points you've never truly faced. Instead of healing them, you've simply swept them under the psychological rug, and now you keep stumbling over them. Jung also said, "We cannot change anything until we accept it. Condemnation does not liberate, it oppresses." Yet what have you been doing? Judging yourself, suppressing yourself, silencing yourself, as if that could fix anything. The truth is, ignoring your unconscious doesn't make it disappear. It only forces it to find more destructive ways to surface. Through toxic relationships you repeat, self-sabotaging patterns you can't seem to escape, or sudden waves of anxiety and fear, even when life seems to be going well. This isn't bad luck. It's your unconscious trying to wake you up. But you keep hitting snooze. If you want to become someone who is no longer easily hurt, you need to stop running from what's inside you. Because as long as you remain unaware of your unconscious, you'll stay a puppet to your emotions. And the more you try to shield yourself from external pain, the more vulnerable you become to internal suffering. But there is a way out, and it's not by building stronger defenses. It's by integration. Becoming truly unshakable isn't an act of resistance. It's an act of deep self-knowledge. And that's what we're going to explore next. What it really means to be someone who is unshaken, and why true strength doesn't come from armor but from acceptance. Let's continue. Becoming untouchable isn't about defending yourself. It's about knowing yourself. Most people believe that the only way to avoid getting hurt is to shut themselves off. They build walls, wear masks, create emotional armor, and pretend nothing affects them. They say things like, "I don't care anymore," or "nothing gets to me." But inside they're still bleeding. Because the problem was never about feeling. The real problem is not knowing what you're feeling or why. And this confusion only happens when you don't truly know yourself. Carl Jung captured this perfectly when he said, "Know all the theories, master all the techniques, but when you touch a human soul, be just another human soul." That soul, the real you keep hiding behind an image of strength, control, and invulnerability. But it's still there, screaming to be seen. Emotional strength has nothing to do with being cold. It's not about ignoring pain, avoiding conflict, or pretending you don't care. It's about integration, about acceptance, about bringing into the light everything you've buried in the dark. You don't become untouchable by putting up barriers between yourself and the world. You become untouchable when you realize that nothing and no one can harm what you have already embraced within yourself. When you integrate your shadows, your fears, your flaws, your insecurities, you stop reacting automatically to everything. You respond, you choose. You are no longer a puppet to your emotions. That is true freedom. Jung called this process individuation. The journey of becoming who you truly are, not who others expect you to be, not who you thought you had to become to earn acceptance. Individuation isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming whole. And here's the secret no one told you. The more you run from pain, the more it chases you. The more you try not to be affected, the more fragile you become. But when you face your wounds, when you accept yourself fully, with everything that is beautiful and everything that is messy, nothing outside of you holds the power to break you. This path, however, requires courage. The courage to look within, the courage to take off the masks, the courage to truly feel, because it's precisely within pain that the key to transformation lies. And that's what we'll explore next. How suffering, far from being your enemy, can become the very doorway to your deepest strength. Let's dive deeper. This time, without fear. Suffering as a gateway to the self. You were taught from an early age to hate pain. You were told that suffering is a sign of weakness, that crying is a waste of time, that feeling deeply only makes you vulnerable. And so you began to run, to avoid, to deny, to suppress. But the more you flee from suffering, the more it follows you. And the worst part? It changes shape. It disguises itself as anxiety, anger, apathy, boredom, and even self-destructive impulses that seem to arise from nowhere. Ignored pain doesn't disappear. It simply digs deeper tunnels within you, hollowing you out from the inside. Until one day, without warning, everything collapses. Carl Jung saw suffering in a completely different way. He believed that pain was not a flaw, but a messenger of the soul, a signal from the unconscious, the language your true self uses to get your attention. He once said that depression is like a woman in black. If she appears, don't shoo her away, invite her in, offer her a seat, listen to what she has to say. But instead of listening, you silence yourself, you distract yourself, you stay busy, you numb the symptoms without ever addressing the message. Have you ever stopped to ask, what is this pain trying to show me? The truth is, suffering hurts so deeply because you are still at war with yourself. One part of you longs to grow, to evolve. Another part clings desperately to what is known, what feels safe. There's a battle inside you between the call for transformation and the ego's instinct to maintain control. And it's in that friction that pain is born. Because change hurts. Growth hurts. Letting go of old beliefs, cutting toxic ties, releasing what no longer serves you, all of it is a kind of death. A mourning for the parts of you that must be left behind. But it is precisely in this space of destruction that something new can be born. Because when everything falls apart, when your defenses crumble, when pain strips you bare, you finally catch a glimpse of your true self, the one beyond the masks, beyond the performances, beyond the need for approval. And in that raw moment, suffering becomes sacred. It brings you face to face with the only thing that can set you free, yourself. Jung understood this deeply. He knew that suffering is not a failure of the system. It is the system. Pain is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of the real journey, the journey of individuation. The tragedy is that most people give up before crossing this dark valley. They turn back. They numb themselves. They return to the surface where it feels safer. But not you. If you've come this far, it's because you're ready to cross. And in the next part, we'll explore how this crossing happens. How the path of individuation, no matter how lonely, no matter how brutal, is what will finally set you free. Let's continue. It's about to get even deeper. The path to individuation, the royal shield. Very few have the courage to begin the journey of individuation, and even fewer have the strength to see it through. Because this path offers no comfort, no guarantees, and certainly no protection for your ego. On the contrary, it dismantles it. Carl Jung described individuation as the process of becoming who you truly are. But before that can happen, you must first unlearn who you thought you were. And that, more than any external rejection, is what truly hurts. You begin to see that much of what you believed defined you was an illusion. You are not your accomplishments. You are not your traumas. You are not the image you built to be loved, admired, or respected. All of that was what you created to survive. But surviving is not the same as living. And individuation is life's call to go beyond mere survival. It's the moment when the unconscious starts to push everything you have repressed, hidden, or distorted up to the surface. Jung said it clearly. Individuation requires the dissolution of the persona, for it is merely a mask of collective convenience. In other words, you will have to tear off your own skin to discover what lies beneath. It's in this painful but necessary process that you begin to become untouchable. Not because nothing ever hurts you again, but because you have already walked through the fire. You have confronted your monsters. You have looked your shame, your dependency, your anger straight in the eye and said, I see you. You no longer control me. And that changes everything. It's this internal clarity, this unwavering lucidity in the face of your own darkness, that grants you a strength no longer dependent on approval, recognition, or control. You no longer need everyone's love. You no longer need to win every argument. You no longer need to look strong because you are strong from the inside out. True emotional armor is not a wall you build around yourself. It is a core you forge within yourself. It is the integration of all your parts into a center of consciousness that remains unshaken, even amidst the fiercest storms. You will still feel pain, but it won't break you. You will still be hurt, but you will not lose yourself, because you have stopped reacting and have started being. You have left the surface behind and begun to inhabit your own depths. But this depth comes with a cost: loneliness. Not because you will be abandoned, but because few are willing or ready to walk this path with you. Most are still trapped on the surface, hidden behind masks, afraid of truly feeling. And when you begin to free yourself, you inevitably grow apart. This distance isn't born of pride. It's a sign of maturity. You are not rejecting anyone. You are simply outgrowing the places where you once hid. And this brings us to the final realization of this journey. Consciousness is your true shield. It isn't brute strength that protects you. It's clarity. The clarity that comes from knowing who you are fully and deeply. The clarity that makes you untouchable. Not because the world changes, but because nothing outside of you holds power over you anymore. And that's where we are headed next. Let's finish this crossing together. We're almost there. True emotional immunity is consciousness. Now that you've come this far, there's something you need to understand clearly. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will shield you from external pain if you remain unconscious of what's happening inside you. As long as you stay unaware, words will keep wounding you. Rejections will continue to sting. Losses will still drag you down until you wake up. And awakening isn't some sudden magical event. It's a daily decision. It's the choice to look inward, even when it hurts. It's the commitment to take full responsibility for your emotions without blaming others, your past, or fate. Carl Jung put it simply: what you resist persists. What you accept transforms. You've spent your whole life resisting the fear of not being enough, resisting the emptiness of rejection, resisting the pain of loneliness, resisting the anguish of not being truly seen. And what did all that resistance bring you? You hid. You silenced yourself. You tried to control everything. You tried to be perfect. You tried to be invincible. And now, you find yourself here, exhausted, tired of fighting the world and yourself. But now, you know the truth. True emotional immunity doesn't come from hardening yourself. It comes from clarity. It's not about building armor. It's about expanding your awareness. Because when you understand your triggers, your patterns, your wounds, the actions of others lose their power to destroy you. You still feel pain, but you don't drown in it. You still suffer, but you don't lose yourself. And that changes everything. What truly protects you is not shielding yourself from life, but diving fully into it. Those who live on the surface get knocked down by every passing wave. Those who dive deep discover stillness, strength, and resilience beneath the chaos. And that's exactly where you're headed. When you start living from that place of integration, presence, and acceptance, the world might still try to hurt you, but it no longer finds a place to land. If this message stirred something inside you, I invite you to declare it in the comments. I choose awareness. Let's create a movement of people who are done surviving behind masks, people ready to live with truth. And remember, the next video is a continuation of this journey. It's crucial, because real transformation only begins when you don't stop at the first step.